coming up.
They don't want any more studies. They want that the witnesses need to come forward so they can testify to give us the solutions to change the policy. If we are truly the status of women, let's do this. And I'm happy to amend this motion.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move that we move this committee in camera.
This guy's garage. Like and subscribe.
In relation to committee business, I'd like to raise a couple of points of where we're at, where we've come from, and where we need to be going from my lens. First of all, budget approval. There is a request for budget approval that was circulated to everyone to cover the costs associated with the meeting of July 31st, and the budget is for $5,750. And does the committee approve that budget?
Concerned about the budget. I'm not saying that I won't approve it, but nobody else had an opportunity to bring witnesses to that meeting. Nobody approved that meeting in advance. And so here we are asked to approve a budget of $5,000 afterwards. I note that a witness was brought from California and had a plane ticket, and yet other committee members weren't advised until an hour before the meeting. So I'd just like to put on the record my concerns about how that all played out. I don't think it's fair to come to the committee and ask us to approve a budget after the fact when nobody knew that meeting was even going to happen.
Witnesses, it wasn't any of the parties other than myself as chair.
So I'm looking at the cost for airfare, because generally we adopt a budget before a study is begun. And you indicated that you invited the witnesses, so I would like to have some clarification. In the notice that we received, there was one witness 1 hour before the meeting, and then there are expenses of almost $5,000. So I'm wondering whether it was only for the July meeting. Is the budget only for the July meeting? And is this a practice that you think you will continue?
So we have a point of order.
Sorry, I don't know how to put this on English.
Moving forward, it's best practice for me to communicate more efficiently with everyone. And if I could pass it to the clerk for any further, to handle if we need further discussion. But I think that to answer your question, agree. We could move forward in a different way. Yeah. Sonia?
Same point. I just want to share my frustration to Madam Chair, because I'm in the FEWO committee from 9 years. Never happened that the other party didn't get chance to submit the witnesses. As a chair, this is not fair for us, and it never happened before. And please, next time, don't do this. And thank you.
No, duly noted. Thank you. Lisa?
I just want to clarify, Chair, because you're talking today like you didn't know that it was inappropriate to call a meeting without informing the witnesses and with calling witnesses without informing committee members. So is that your contention, that you didn't know that that was an inappropriate way to handle a committee? Or are you just learning this now?
No, it was an emergency meeting, and I acted swiftly on a very emergent topic, hence the meeting. Yep.
Madam Chair, in the emergency meeting, all committees are present, all members are present. If it's emergency meeting, we should say our views too from our witnesses. How come we didn't get chance to submit the paper? Even though it's emergency meeting, we have lots of emergency meeting in COVID time and all the time, but never happened what happened in that time.
Appreciate your feedback, and I would like to acknowledge that as chair, it certainly is my prerogative to call the meeting. I did address each steering committee member prior to the meeting, and lastly, this is not unique in all committees. Nonetheless, Anna, chair is yours.
I think what we have to determine here is the issue that we all face, and that is the importance of how, as a Status of Women Committee, we are going to come together and justify the violence that is occurring in our country. It's out of control. We've heard from different police officers, different chief of polices. I think we need to get back to the business at hand, and that is how can we work together so that we can improve the safety of all women everywhere.
And also, I just want to acknowledge, while I was doing my housekeeping. The initial person on the floor was Michelle Ferrari, but I still have some housekeeping that I want to do continue before we. Is there any more further discussion on the budget approval before I move forward on the other items that I want to handle? Yes, Leah.
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little concerned about the process. Okay, I think, the budgets, I mean, from my experience being on committee, we've always worked.
Yes, Leah.
Thank you, Chair. I'm a little concerned about the process. Okay, I think, the budgets, I mean, from my experience being on committee, we've always worked in a really collegial way to do these things in advance. Because if it's done after the fact, sitting around the room, now I'm beholden to approve something that I wasn't involved in the first place. I'm not saying I have a problem with this budget, but maybe there will be a time when I do have problems with the budget. And I don't want to be put in a position with taxpayer dollars that if I don't approve a budget, I look like I'm counter an issue. Okay? I'm not saying I'm against this budget. I'm saying I'm against the process. I also didn't know we were at a point in the meeting when it was called to order that people were raising hands. So again, I have a concern with the process. We have worked really well as a committee, certainly under Karen Vecchio. She always made sure that the committee was happen in a really respectful manner. And part of it was that she was fierce about process, including with me. I didn't always benefit from process. And I just want to get back to process. You brought up the coercive control study. That is, we're talking about a crisis of violence against women. That's part of that violence. And every time we stall, going into an election, particularly I'm concerned about process. For folks in my riding where we have record rates of violence, that means somebody's going to die, and nobody in this house is going to fight for them. So I want to make sure that we are good on process, that we are following rules, and that we rise above partisan games and lift up the human rights and safety of women and diverse gendered folks in this country without question or qualification or motive. And so that's what I'm hoping, that we can get back to committee in a good way because lives are on the line.
Madam Chair, I just want to say something.
Okay, so if we're going to be following the list,
Point
then,
of order, point of order.
Thank you. Yeah.
Madam Chair, Michelle did the hands up, same thing Lisa did. And then after that, how come, can you repeat the order of speaking, please?
At this point, we have Layla, who has just finished, Anna, Adrienne, Lisa, and I'll add you if you'd like to as well.
No, I'm just saying that when you start the meeting, and then Michelle and then Lisa put the hands up same time.
Okay.
So
I missed Lisa, and I'm mindful of that now, and I will be sure to take a full scope of the room.
thank you.
Okay, at this point also, with regards to coercive behavior study, I'd like to acknowledge where we're at. We have had 2.5 meetings of witness testimony so far. The study motion adopted by the committee on November 27th of 2023 notes that the committee hold at least 6 meetings for this study. Therefore, at this point, we have 3.5 meetings to fit into the schedule moving forward. And before the study wraps up, the committee will need to decide which study it wants to pursue this fall. Currently, we have the study on sexual violence against women and girls as a weapon of war. There was a motion that called for 4 meetings. As well, we have a study on breast cancer screening for women aged 40. The motion called for a meeting of, or a max of 4 meetings. Lisa?
Thank you. Typically in this committee, we've handled all of this organization in subcommittee, and I understand that was the plan for today, was a subcommittee meeting where everybody in camera would go over the studies, finish course of control, and decide what we're going to study next. And at the last minute, again, this...
Point of order, Lisa.
It's about procedure. It is about procedure. And the procedure is... all of around this table, people had decided we were going to have a subcommittee meeting today, and unilaterally you decided we were going to be in public and debating things around the table. So instead of a conversation that was supposed to be had in camera among the subcommittee, we're having this conversation in public amongst all of us. And I don't think it's the right process. This is not how we've done this committee.
I found it was important to have a conversation of this scope in public, and I thought we would have consensus and opinions from all of us. That was my thought. Leah, to that point of order?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I think, Chair, we've done a lot of good work together. I think usually, certainly making assumptions that you thought we would, I think that goes back to process. What is the process? We've had a process, and in our process, we have discussed studies, very collegially, in fact, in subcommittees. And part of the reason why I think, especially as somebody who only has one seat at this table, so I don't have a lot of power on this table, I'm not delusional, is to make sure that we weren't playing partisan games and we were putting forward the best studies that we could. I know that in the subcommittee, because of the subcommittees, I was able to work with all the parties with support in solidarity with women and diverse gender people, in solidarity, knowing this is the only place in the House of Commons that actually focuses on women's issues. I got the red dress study, and I also got the study connecting increased violence against Indigenous women and girls and resource extraction. And that was agreed on across all party lines, and we have always done that. We don't have vicious debates in subcommittee. We look at the issues of the day and we discuss it. And part of the reason I think it's worked is because of process. Clearly, going forward with different processes doesn't seem to be working. And I know who suffers for that. That is the people that we're fighting for. So this is very much on a point of order. I question if our priority is shifting. I don't want to make assumptions. I do know what we're going into, from fighting for women across party lines in a nonpartisan way and diverse gendered people, or getting ready for an upcoming election. I think this committee, out of all the committees, we could actually get something done. We got 9 studies done. Those studies have saved lives, and I'm speaking to you as a human being, because I know you're a good human being, that your role is critical in the process to make sure we can ensure that those things keep happening. Thank you, Chair.
On that point of order, Leila?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to, perhaps we could consult the clerk on this, because my understanding from the Green Book that guides where the process is that having these kinds of conversations is allowable in both a closed meeting in camera or in an open meeting, as is the space. And so perhaps the clerk can clarify that this is an allowable way of having these conversations.
Sonia? On that point of order?
Yes, on the same point of order, Madam Chair. The subcommittee has been scheduled with you consult all the vice chairs. And the members have expressed this is the preference to go. Can you explain why it's changed on the last minute when you consult the vice chairs and subcommittee meetings was scheduled?
I know that we're assuming that we're speaking on the point of order, but we have to make sure that we keep our points of order as structured as possible, as
So I want
good
to
as possible.
explain-
But to
it's
answer
the
your
same
question,
point of order. I
same-
want the explanation, like, because in camera, this is the same thing, because we did, we were doing our procedure in subcommittee in the past. So you consult the vice chairs, and then we scheduled subcommittee, and then it got cancelled without consultation with anyone. So I just want a rationale for that.
Yeah, no, thank you. With that, every style of every chair will do things a little bit differently. I'm hearing every single thing that all of you are saying, but I thought it was prudent of us to have a couple more motions and topics and ideas on the table before we went to a steering committee with just a few of us. I know I changed from Thursday to Friday with my dialogue with all of you, but then as soon as I did do that, I did reach out to all the vice chairs to give them a heads up that that was my intention. So there was no malicious intent here. But nonetheless, I think it's healthy, and as a community around the table, we can solve and talk about the issues at hand and get motions on the table that will allow for a productive fall in this committee. To the same point of order.
I appreciate my friend Layla Goodridge's input, but I don't think it's necessary to consult the clerk. The point is not whether it's allowed. The point is committee practice. And I think you've heard around this table how well this committee has worked over the past 8-9 years, and we're seeing that collapse. And so the point is not whether it's something that's allowed, but whether it's the practice of this committee and it has what has worked well on this committee, and that is what we're speaking out against.
So can I finish my remarks, or do you want to jump into the following comments? I'm going to finish what I would like to get in with.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, that I've had my hand up for quite a while now, and if everybody else got their turn to speak to the point of order, I would like it as well.
On the point of order? Okay. Well, we were. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
On the. Can I finish my? Do also. So we do have 3.5 meetings remaining on coercive control. We have witnesses planned for Wednesday. I do also acknowledge that I have a few more people that have their hands up. We're no longer speaking to the points of order, so I've just been adding people's names. So can I finish my remarks, or do you want to jump into the following comments? I'm going to finish what I would like to get in with.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, that I've had my hand up for quite a while now, and if everybody else got their turn to speak to the point of order, I would like it as well.
On the point of order? Okay. Well, we were. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I would like to add my voice, first of all, to just let you know that I think that the way that it's been run, this committee has been run ever since, the beginning of the summer has been troubling for sure, because this was a collegial committee, and this was a committee where everybody did get along and everybody got work done, and we had so many studies completed during the time that we were on this committee, and it's really unfortunate to see that things are being almost done as a dictatorship at this point. You know, like the fact that a meeting was called in the middle of the summer, we were all brought back. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. But it was a $5,000 meeting, and that's, Canadian tax dollars are paying for that meeting that was called back in the middle of the summer so that witnesses could be flown in from the United States. And unfortunately, we didn't get much out of that meeting, but it's just very unfortunate. And the fact that this was supposed to be a subcommittee meeting, which is something that's been done in the past, people had scheduled their times in order to be there for the subcommittee and had made sure that they had, we had meetings ourselves, pre-committee meetings, to make sure that we were able to put forward studies that we wanted to make sure we were going to see happen, the orders of things and all of that. And it was just completely sidelined last minute so that we can have a meeting and discuss this in person all together. I just
been more
it's
than
very sad.
If I may, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think I've been more than generous with the.
It's just disappointing, and I'm hoping that we can move
point
forward.
of order.
I'm hoping we can move forward in a more positive way going forward.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so wrapping up, what I wanted to say was just about the witnesses that we have scheduled for Wednesday for the coercive control. As of right now, we still have 3.5 meetings left for that. At this point, I'm opening up the floor to discussions for motions. We do have a running list right now. Anna was on the list. She acknowledged she no longer wants to be. We have Michelle, Lisa, and Emanuela. I've taken you off the list now. Is there any Mark? Would you like to be added to the list?
Non, qu'est-ce qu'on vient juste d'entendre?
What we just heard from the members of the committee means to me that perhaps we should have a vote to go in camera.
To go in camera? So I'm asking the clerk, and can we, because we just clearly heard here from a lot of, or the majority of the members, that we should be going in camera.
Madam Chair, I appreciate the sentiments shared by the member opposite. You just finished laying out our speaking order. We've got Michelle, then Lisa. If that is something that is a desire from the Liberal Party, Lisa can move that motion when she has the floor.
So, as you can't move motions in a point of order. Okay, so at that, Michelle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome back, everybody. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to get out into their community and listen to the folks on the ground. I have to remind everyone here that is our job. It is our job to bring the people's voices here. I've listened to a lot of what's happened here this morning, and something that really jumps out at me is these words that are being said, and I can't imagine how frustrating it is to watch at home, because the thing that's being said is we're getting lots of work done. And we need to be collegial, and we need to be nonpartisan. These are the words that are being floated around today. And I'm sorry, not sorry, but if we're getting lots of work done, why are more women dying? Why is sexual assault up 75%? Why is intimate partner violence an epidemic in 94 municipalities in Ontario? If we're doing such a great job, why is this happening? And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit with people that we work with every day that I don't want to come here and fight, but it is certainly my job, and it is all of our jobs, to do the job we were elected to do. And the reality is, these stats are not okay. Human trafficking is up 84%. Sexual assaults, people can't even go downtown in their homes, in their hometowns, their small communities. Nobody feels safe. We are the status of women. If we're going to do this, fine, let's have a healthy discussion. But don't say that it's nonpartisan, because policy is what led us here in the first place. It is the policy that is letting people out on bail, these repeat violent offenders. That's the reality after 9 years. That's what's happening. So I don't think there's room for collegiality when people are dying. And let's have an honest conversation. So I'm going to move forward the following motion, Madam Chair, that given the unprecedented wave of violence against women and femicides, the committee undertake a study on violence against women for no less than 5 meetings. All parties are to submit witnesses, but the priority must be given to Megan Walker and Kate Alexander, who left in tears in this committee because their voice was silenced, whose testimonies were cut short, and the committee seek additional resources to let these witnesses testify for as long as they need to tell their stories. I am more than willing to listen to every member on this committee. You can't go to a shelter right now without having women say, A, they can't find a space, they don't have housing, they are fleeing violence, they are staying in violence. I went to a round table in Newfoundland and Labrador, and a woman was murdered by her partner, and it was policy. It was policy in place by this Liberal NDP government that led to her murder. We can do work here, and as the witnesses said to us, they don't want any more studies. They want that the witnesses need to come forward so they can testify to give us the solutions to change the policy. If we are truly the status of women, let's do this. And I'm happy to amend this motion that helps everybody to allow these witnesses to come forward and to make this a study so that we are ensuring that women are safe and that these stats go down, not up. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Michelle. We have Lisa and Adrienne on the speaking list at this point.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to move that we move this committee in camera.
So this is a non-debatable motion, and we need to go to a vote.
Okay, thank you. The motion is that the committee move in camera. Ms. Hepner.
In favor.
Ms. Lambropoulos.
In favor.
Monsieur Serré.
En faveur.
Ms. Sidhu.
Yes.
Ms. Van den Bell.
In favor.
In favor. Ms. Ferreri.
No.
Ms. Roberts.
No.
Ms. Goodrich.
No.
Madame Larouche. Ms. Gazan.
Oui.
Seven yeas, 3 nays.
So will we pause while we go into... So we will pause for about 10 minutes while we go into closed.